Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Welcome to Ukraine Daily News. We are aware about the developing situation around Dvropilia, have been aware for a couple of days now, and I will come with a full video talking about this in details, but for now, this video will be covering some of the other news. Stay tuned for a more in-depth analysis of the situation. And the key point for today's report will be Ukrainian strikes, because there's a lot of them and they are massive. Ukrainian drones flew all the way and were able to strike the Lukoil refinery that is located in their area. This is the first strike to that distance, but definitely not the last. Another drone flew 1,300 kilometers into Russia as well and hit a storage for Shahed-type drones inside of the Russian Tatarstan Republic. The explosion was captured on video and damage was dealt to the Russian Shahed stockpiles. Drones strike Saratov oil refinery in Russia. Ukrainians have struck multiple oil refineries just over the last couple of days, and it is really starting to hurt Russia a lot. Some people have estimated that by this point, because of the Ukrainian constant attacks, Russian capabilities of refining oil have dropped over 18%. Ukrainian drones have struck Russian facility that produces components for missiles in Nizhny Novgorod. The facility produced components for the cruise missiles that have been used extensively along the campaign to hit targets inside of Ukraine, and Ukrainians are now fighting back. And this is important to understand because whatever you think about how this war is going, who is winning, whatever, Russia was not planning on their initial invasion plans that after 3 years of a bloody war, suddenly they will see strategic initiative being really present on the Ukrainian sides, and they will strike targets inside of the territory of Russia very, very deep and daily. Unfortunately, Russia is conducting their strikes as well, and there are reports that new, smaller types of cruise missiles has now been used in Ukraine. Some people compare this missile to the new type of Ukrainian missile, which is a mix between a jet missile and a drone. And it seems that Russians are trying to develop this technology and use it as well. The experts are estimating that the 18th package of sanctions by the European Union is going to cost Russia the whole $10+ billion by the end of the year. This is in addition to all of the previous sanctions packages that were already in place and are ongoing in the European Union. And some people are actually stating that the reason that India is now stating no to buying Russian oil, well, at least some Russian oil, is actually not because of the sanctions and tariffs that Trump is supposedly imposing, or more like threatening to impose, but actually because of the 18 sanctions package coming into force. And one of the points inside of that sanctions package is specifically prohibition on purchasing of secondary products refined in India. And some of those companies that refined the products beforehand are now stopping their purchases. Russian and Azerbaijan relationships have fallen to the pretty low point by this point. Last week, Russia struck the new Azerbaijani energy infrastructure that was supposed to deliver gas and oil from Azerbaijan to Ukraine. And now Azerbaijani are claiming that if Russia will continue striking the Azerbaijani energy resource company belongings, then Azerbaijan will remove the moratorium on supplying weapons to Ukraine. A living, talking butt plug by the name of Robert Fico has stated that Ukraine is sort of just a piece of grass that is now being stuck in the fight between two elephants. So comparing Ukraine that is just going to be profit in the bigger geopolitical game between the United States and Russia. Well, to which he is receiving a lot of pushback, and I call on everyone that is watching this video to write what you think about Mr. Fico in the comment section down below. Russian tank fleet has been getting pretty beat up by this point. Most importantly, the losses show that Russian ability to get new tanks on the battlefield is diminishing. And the T-80 tanks are almost non-existent on the front lines by this point. And we see that majority of tanks that are being right now delivered to the front lines are either older models of the T-72 or the T-62 tank that is being used. However, it's important to acknowledge that Russia has changed their tactics to be less dependent on the armored vehicles, and instead they're using a lot of the motorcycles and buggies. And while this does come with higher loss rate, it is the new tactic that is also delivering certain results. The situation in Dvropilia that we're going to be discussing will be the prime example of that. Ukrainian Oschadbank has guaranteed 837 million in Dutch drone production deal, which is an amazing new structure that is being proposed to finance weapons procurement for Ukraine. What it basically states is that the Oschadbank will guarantee that the drones that will be financed by the Dutch government, in case there is any corruption or mismanagement or anything else, then Oschadbank will be covering these losses for the Dutch government. I think this is a fantastic new type of deal, and it definitely unlocks a lot more potential for Ukraine to get weapons manufactured for the needs of warfare. German Rheinmetall is stating that they are almost doubling the expected capacity of their ammunition factory production. Rheinmetall is building multiple factories in Ukraine. All of them are yet to be fully operational, but this ammunition factory will be producing much more as soon as it comes online. Most of the delays are because of the red tape and bureaucratic procedures within Ukraine. So Rheinmetall is not just sitting on their hands, and instead they're just physically, I guess, building a bigger production plant, and they're just waiting for the paperwork to be completed so it can be launched. President Zelensky expanded the Ukrainian unit funding program, supposedly because so far the program showed great success. Beforehand, there was allocation of certain amount of funds that the units of the Ukrainian military would be able to use to purchase different drones and drone components for themselves for their combat needs. Now President Zelensky will allocate more funds directly to the units for them to use also for larger variety of tools that they can purchase, including vehicles and including other types of non-lethal support that specific units can procure directly and not from the centralized budget. The program seems to be working, and it's great to see that the units will be able to get exactly the things that they need. European Union will be allocating an additional 1.5 billion euros from the frozen Russian assets as profits to Ukraine, which is great, but I will always call on the Europeans to completely confiscate the Russian frozen assets and forward them to Ukraine. And finally, to close off today's date, the Russian losses is 1,000 men, 4 tanks, 7 armored fighting vehicles, 37 artillery systems, 2 MLRS systems, 191 drones, 131 various vehicles. Thank you so much for watching this. Trust in Ukrainian armed forces, support the Ukrainian armed forces. I love you. Slava Ukraini, and I will see you next time.